Once upon a time, in a peaceful kingdom far, far away, there lived a kind and gentle girl named Cinderella. She lived in a grand house, but it wasn't a happy home. Her wicked stepmother and two selfish stepsisters made her life very difficult every single day. From the moment the sun rose until long after it set, Cinderella worked tirelessly. She scrubbed the floors until they shone, cooked delicious meals that she rarely got to enjoy, and washed mountains of clothes. Her stepmother was a cold and cruel woman, and her stepsisters were no better. They would shout, "Work faster! Cinderella, the fireplace needs cleaning!" Or "Hurry up with our dinner!" Through it all, Cinderella never raised her voice or spoke a single angry word. She would whisper to herself, like a secret promise, "Kindness will always return." This belief was her shield against their harshness. She wasn't entirely alone, though. Her only friends were the little animals who shared the house with her, the cheerful mice that scurried in the walls, and the sweet birds that sang outside her attic window. They would listen as she shared her dreams and kept her company during lonely hours. And oh, how Cinderella dreamed! She dreamed of a life filled with laughter and warmth, a life where she was loved. Most of all, she dreamed of hope. One bright morning, a wave of excitement swept through the entire kingdom. A royal messenger on a majestic horse delivered a proclamation to every house. The prince was hosting a magnificent royal ball. Every young person in the land was invited to the palace for a night of music and dancing. Cinderella's heart fluttered like a captured bird. A tiny spark of hope ignited within her. Maybe I can go," she whispered to her little friends. But her hope was quickly crushed. Her stepmother overheard her and let out a sharp, cruel laugh. "You? To the royal ball? Don't be ridiculous! You're covered in soot and rags. You must stay home and finish your chores." The stepsisters, preening in their new, extravagant dresses, joined in the laughter as they swept out the door, leaving for the palace. Cinderella was left behind, her heart heavy with sadness. Tears welled in her eyes as she watched their carriage disappear down the road. She felt so alone, so forgotten. Just then, a soft, shimmering light began to fill the dimly lit kitchen. It grew brighter and warmer, chasing away the shadows. A gentle, soothing voice spoke from the center of the light. "Do not cry, my child." Cinderella looked up, her eyes wide with wonder. Standing before her was a kind-faced woman with a sparkling magic wand. It was her fairy godmother. "Your unwavering kindness and gentle heart have brought me here," she said with a warm smile. "You, more than anyone, deserve a night of happiness." With a graceful wave of her wand, the magic began. A pumpkin in the garden swelled and transformed into a magnificent, gleaming carriage. The little mice, her loyal friends, grew into 4 strong white horses to pull it. With another flick of the wand, Cinderella's old, worn-out rags dissolved into a breathtaking ball gown. The color of the evening sky, adorned with glittering stars, on her feet appeared the most delicate pair of glass slippers.
"Now, remember," the fairy godmother cautioned gently. "This magic is powerful, but it is temporary."
"It will all disappear at the stroke of midnight." Cinderella, her heart bursting with gratitude and joy, smiled brightly. She carefully stepped into the magical carriage, ready for the night that would change her life forever. Her magical adventure was just about to begin. At the Grand Palace, a symphony of music and laughter filled the air. It was the night of the royal ball, an event even more magnificent than anyone had ever dreamed. Lanterns glowed like 1,000 captured stars, and guests in their finest attire danced across the polished marble floors. Everything was perfect. Then the great door swung open, and a hush fell over the entire ballroom. All eyes turned to the entrance.
There stood Cinderella, transformed.
Her gown shimmered with the light of 1,000 diamonds, and she seemed to glide rather than walk into the room. She was so radiant, so breathtakingly beautiful, that everyone, from the royal guards to the ladies of the court, stopped and stared in awe. It was as if a real star had descended from the night sky just to grace the ball with her presence. Across the room, the prince's gaze fell upon her, and in that instant, He was completely captivated. He had seen many beautiful women that night, but none had a light that shone so brightly from within. He felt an immediate, irresistible pull towards this mysterious newcomer. He made his way through the crowd, his eyes never leaving hers. With a graceful bow, he extended his hand. "May I have this dance?" he asked, his voice full of warmth and admiration. Cinderella's heart fluttered as she placed her hand in his. As they stepped onto the dance floor, it felt as if they were the only two people in the entire world. The music swelled around them, a perfect melody for the beginning of their story. They danced for what felt like an eternity, lost in each other's company. They spun and twirled, their laughter echoing through the hall. With every step and every shared smile, Cinderella felt a joy she had never known before. For the first time in her life, she wasn't just a servant girl in rags. She was cherished. She was seen. She was happy. The prince was charming and kind, and he listened to her with genuine interest. They talked about their dreams and hopes, and Cinderella felt her heart opening up. It was a magical, perfect night. But as we all know, even the most beautiful magic has its limits. Suddenly, a sound pierced through the music and laughter. Dong! Dong! The great clock tower began to strike the hour of midnight. Panic seized Cinderella. "Oh no!"
she cried, her eyes wide with fear. The spell was about to break.
She knew she had to leave before her beautiful gown turned back into rags and her golden carriage became a pumpkin again. Without another word, she pulled away from the prince and ran. "Wait, please, don't go," the prince called after her. But she was already gone, a fleeting vision of beauty disappearing into the night. She flew down the grand palace stairs, her heart pounding in her chest. As she ran, the magic began to fade. Her shimmering gown dissolved into her familiar worn dress, and the spell unraveled piece by piece. In her haste, one of her delicate glass slippers slipped off her foot and was left behind on the stone steps. The prince, chasing after her, found only the single, sparkling slipper. He picked it up, its perfect form a testament to the enchanting woman who had captured his heart. Holding it close, he made a solemn promise to himself and to the stars above. "I will find the girl who fits this slipper, no matter what it takes." The very next day, the prince, true to his word, began his quest. Accompanied by his royal attendants, he traveled throughout the kingdom, visiting every single house, from the grandest mansions to the humblest cottages. The news of his search spread like wildfire, and everywhere he went, hopeful young women lined up, eager to try on the glass slipper. Many tried, pushing and squeezing, hoping to make it fit. But the slipper was unique, magical, and it would not yield. It fit no one. Finally, the prince arrived at Cinderella's home. Her stepsisters, hearing the royal proclamation, practically stumbled over each other in their excitement. "Try me first." "No, me," they shouted, each convinced she was the prince's true love. They shoved and contorted their feet, but it was no use. The slipper was far too small. The stepmother watched with a sour expression, her hopes for her daughters dashed. Just then, Cinderella stepped forward quietly from the shadows where she had been watching. "May I try?" she asked softly, her voice barely a whisper. Her stepmother and stepsisters burst into cruel laughter. "You don't be ridiculous!" they sneered. But the prince, looking at her, felt a flicker of recognition. He saw the same gentle grace he had seen in the mysterious princess at the ball. He silenced the others with a look and nodded kindly at Cinderella. As she sat down and slid her foot into the glass slipper, it fit perfectly, as if it had been made for her and her alone. At that moment, a soft light enveloped her, and the magic returned. Her rags once again transformed into a beautiful gown, and she shone with the same radiant light as she had at the ball. The prince gasped, his eyes widening in recognition. It was her, the woman he had danced with, the woman who had stolen his heart. "You," he said, his voice filled with emotion. "You are the one I've been looking for." Cinderella smiled, her heart overflowing with happiness. In a true show of her kind and gentle nature, she forgave her stepfamily for all their cruelty. She knew that holding on to anger would only dim her own light. And so, Cinderella left that house for good, stepping into a new life with the prince who had searched so tirelessly for her. They were married in a grand ceremony, and they ruled the kingdom with kindness and compassion, living, as all good fairy tales end, happily ever after. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like and subscribe for more magical tales.